Hello, welcome to Tuesdays, not today. I hope you're well. I'm Al, thanks for being here. Right, shall we see what's coming up for you on the show? Go on then. First, we'll be finding out why people using a vital mental health service in Notts are concerned about its potential closure.
Have it just whipped away without knowing anything about the future, the prospects. Will I have support? Does this lead to me going down somewhere where I've not got people around me and I can go help me before I do something silly and then back in hospital again?
Now, one old charity pot in a Notts village has paid out thousands of pounds to a community group. The money in Radcliffe-on-Trent dates back more than 100 years. It's recently been found and then handed out to support some vital community organisations. It's intriguing, isn't it? We'll find out more about that soon. And also we're going to hear whether the new location for a taxi rank outside Nottingham Station is going to help cabbies and people with disabilities.
It's a little bit better, but it's still a safety hassle for the customer because the customer have to come from the station main entrance, then they have to go across the road, then to obviously get access to the taxi. So it's a safety hassle for the customer.
You're also going to hear why our city centre is lighting up at the end of this month. Nottingham Light Night is back on the 28th. We're going to chat all things illumination later on in the show. In sport, we'll round up the transfer deadline day as well. All three of our clubs are involved, including incomings at Mansfield Town.
There's been 2 or 3 months now where I've not particularly enjoyed going into work, and those match day situations are what you live for as a footballer. So yeah, I'm hoping to go into an environment where I get back to enjoying the football again. And yeah, I can't think of a better way to come do it than here.
All that and loads more just for you. Right, first though, 2 Nottingham homes dedicated to supporting people with mental health issues might be closing for good, all because of a decision by the City Council. Hewendon Lodge and the Crescent are both run by Charity Framework. They offer a place for people to live and provide caseworkers for those who've hit rock bottom. But Framework was told of the council's intention to shut the facilities at the end of last year. It's all part of cost-cutting measures, and today Jordan Guerrero went down to meet the people using it and heard how they've been life-saving to some of their users.
This is just one of 2 care homes at risk of having to send residents elsewhere for support if their current City Council funding gets revoked. Hewendon Lodge is currently the lifeline for 9 vulnerable Notts residents and 10 who live in the wider community too. The lodge provides counselling, mentoring and simply a set of ears, willing to listen to how they're feeling at any given moment. It's run by Framework and primarily supports people who've struggled with their mental health. That includes Damien Bauer, who's called this place home for more than a year after he turned to alcohol as a way of coping with bullying. The dark turn led him to losing everyone he cared about and losing himself too. Since being here, he's come on leaps and bounds, but is now petrified the scary possibility of having to move out will undo his progress.
And I took to drink as a way to numb the evenings, but it escalated into a place I never thought. A place where you find yourself drinking vodka at 6 o'clock in the morning, standing outside a shop shaking, not being able to stand up. It's geared to getting me to where I want to be in life, and then to have it just whipped away without knowing anything about the future, the prospects. Will I have support? Does this lead to me going down somewhere where I've not got people around me and I can go help me before I do something silly and then back in hospital again?
The lodge, which is in Mapley, and the Crescent in Radford, are the 2 facilities at risk of closure by the City Council. They've been delivered by Framework but are solely funded by the authority, which announced at the end of last year it will be withdrawing funds to save cash. Hewendon service manager Sue Waterston, who's been in the role for 8 years, feels that shutting them down will actually end up being more expensive in the long term.
Since the funding has gone, it is now going to be a question of what takes priority. When this place closes, either people will be passed back to the hospitals again, where there are no beds, and I have no idea how they're going to manage that, or elsewhere. And so therefore it's passing the buck, as it were. Within a year, I could almost foretell that they'll be saying, oh dear, this was a mistake.
I've suddenly gone from feeling I had a bit of worth and was going back into the world, and you know, it's hard losing your confidence, losing everything in life, in a place where you never thought you'd be. The possibility of being split up and moved up to various places in the city is one concern.
Residents and carers here remain unsure what their fate will be, but are urging for more conversations with the council to find solutions. Jordan Guerrero for Notts TV.
Now, we did approach the City Council for a comment, but the authority didn't provide one by our deadline of coming on air. However, a spokesperson previously said the authority is committed to supporting people in the right settings and takes this responsibility for helping them seriously. It's looking into the issue to work out the next steps. Now, let's talk about some buried treasure. It's been found right here in Nottingham, sort of. It's not quite The Little Mermaid or The Goonies, but it's still a lovely story though. It's all about how a local group in Radcliffe-on-Trent have benefited from more than £20,000 after a local woman's long-lost charity fund was released. The local parish council there was made aware of the cash, which dates back to the early 20th century. Now thousands of pounds are being released to support local groups in the village, and our local democracy reporter Lauren Monaghan is here to tell us all about it. I want this to be all like a film, Lauren, but what is the story then behind it all?
So it's a lovely story. It's probably one of the cutest stories I've done. So, how do we get into this? So, it's basically a dormant account under Radcliffe-on-Trent Parish Council. So there's a charity that they didn't know about originally called the Hartwell Charity, dormant. The history behind it, it was set up in October 1908 as part of a woman's will, a local Radcliffe woman's will. And if we look into this woman, she was called Harriet Cooper. She supposedly lived in Vicarage Lane in the village in a house called Hartwell House, which I'm guessing is why she called the charity that, but this house no longer exists. And some unverified information, so we've got to make that clear, it's unverified, by one of the current trustees, found, and it lines up, that someone called Harriet Cooper was born in Hyson Green in 1825 and she moved to Radcliffe in the 80s and died in 1908. So the dates do line up, but again, unverified. So basically this charity was made in her will and it was for religious widows or spinsters. I think the term is irreproachable women. Irreproachable women, not quite sure what that means, no. But for women in financial need basically, because I think we can all agree that in the early 1900s, women tended to rely financially on the men in their lives, so their father, their brother, their husband. So yeah, 4 women a year could apply for this funding and they were given £12 a year, which back then was a lot of money and it acted as a pension. The first advert for it went up in 1911, I believe.
Okay. Oh wow. So Radcliffe Parish Council then, it was founded there. Were they not aware of it?
No, so the parish council, I think some of the councillors have changed since now, not all of them are there. They were made aware of it in 2022 by a charity fund management group. They couldn't access it at the time because they weren't trustees, so they got told that this charity existed, but they couldn't access it. And they were made aware by this group, if you don't create new trustees, you won't be able to access it and the money will be basically redistributed nationally and they'd never be able to see how much was in there. So yeah, the new trustees, they were gobsmacked. They found about £21,000 in this account that had just accrued. Broken down, this is about £12,000 in an investment account, and then this investment account paid dividends into a separate bank account, so it was 12,000 plus 9,000, which gives obviously the figure of around £21,000. And the new trustees, made up by some parish councillors and I think a church member, they rewrote it to modern times, so this time it included men, because obviously the original charity was just for women, included men, and there doesn't need to be a religious aspect in it.
So it's been updated for 2025.
Yeah.
I see. So where's it gone then?
Yeah, so they tried to stick with Harriet Cooper's wishes as far as they could, the current trustees. So they gave the Boys Brigade, I struggle to say that, Boys Brigade, £5,000 for a new heater for their hut. And this hut can be used by more than just the Boys Brigade. I think that's why they were quite on it to give that.
Okay.
And then Radcliffe Welcome Spaces, about 2,800. Radcliffe and Bingham Advice Centre, £5,000. Radcliffe Community Garden and Radcooks, both 1,000, and Radcliffe Manor House Care Home, I think they got given the most at £7,000, and the Memory Cafe, which deals with supporting people with dementia and their carers, £2,000. So if we add that all up, that's about £24,000.
I'm glad you did that.
Yeah, which shows that the money accrued even more from when they first found it, because they found 21 and they actually gave out 24,000. Now it's down to 37p.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Well, in 100 years' time, who knows? Not bad. You can get heaters from like the middle aisle of Lidl for 25 quid, Thanks, Lauren. Right, now let's have a look at more headlines for Notts. NHS England have been urged to publish a full report into the care received by Nottingham triple killer Valdo Callachane. Grace O'Malley Kumar, Barnaby Webber and Ian Coates were killed by Callachane in Nottingham on June the 13th, 2023. He received an indefinite hospital order after admitting manslaughter with diminished responsibility. An independent mental health homicide review is due to be published this week. The spokesperson for the victims' families urged for it to be published in full after reports it could be partially kept private for confidentiality reasons. And the boss of East Midlands Ambulance Service says the organisation must keep working to meet original handover targets. In December, Nottingham University Hospitals Trust committed to the figure to free up crews and allow ambulances to better respond to emergencies. It's reduced average handover times from more than an hour and a half in January last year to 38 minutes last month. But EMAS bosses say their aim is to meet national guidance, which is to hand patients over to hospital wards within 15 minutes of arrival. Now, it's as much a tradition on the city calendar as Goose Fair or whatever is going to happen with Broadmarsh next. It's Nottingham Light Night. It's back at the end of the month and we'll be finding out next what you can look forward to, as well as talking all things Deadline Day. Hello, welcome back to Tuesday's show. I hope you're well. I'm Al, thanks for being here. This is what's happening in Notts today. An air ambulance has been grounded after an administrative oversight meant it can't carry controlled drugs. The Links and Notts Air Ambulance has been temporarily stood down after the charity didn't meet its deadline for a drugs licence renewal. The charity's Deputy Medical Director said the organisation is in discussion with East Midlands Ambulance Service to find a resolution, as well as the Home Office as well, to secure the controlled drug licence. The necessary paperwork has been received by the Home Office, which said the Ambucopter can fly again once it's been processed. And properties across Nottingham and Nottinghamshire will pay more in their council tax bills to fund policing. The Notts Police and Crime Panel approved a tax rise at a meeting yesterday. That means all homes in the city and council will pay 4.9% more than from April than they did a year earlier. For people living in a Band D property, that works out slightly less than £14 for the year to go forward. It'll all go towards Nottinghamshire police budgets, with other increases also coming from district, county or city councils as well. Now, it's been a wet, murky, grey day, hasn't it? So shall we illuminate that for you? Shall we talk Nottingham Light Night? Yes, we shall. It's back. It's the 17th year as well, allowing you to see our most iconic landmarks all lit up in a new light. There's going to be interactive performances, there's activities created by local and international artists. This year, the Council House will turn into a glowing canvas with projections, electronic music and so much more as well. And here to tell us all about it is Nottingham City Council's Executive Member of Carbon Reduction, Leisure and Culture, Sam Lux. Hi Sam, thanks for coming on. So it's great to have it back, isn't it? What are we going to see?
Yeah, so you've covered quite a lot there, but yeah, we're going to have over 35 interactive, immersive installations, performances, activities all across the city centre. As you said, lighting up our best kind of architectural features. So we've got the Council House, we've got Sneinton Market's going to be featured, Robin Hood statue, the castle as well. So yeah, it's all kind of new and fresh, so not anything that people have seen before.
Oh, brilliant. That's amazing. What's the Council House going to be? So it's going to be a canvas. How does that work?
Yeah, so I think we'll have to sort of wait and see to some extent, but I know that one, it's
no spoilers as well. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, top secret. But yeah, it's certainly going to be quite an interactive one. So you've got dance, you've got like an electronic soundtrack. to accompany the projections, and I think it's going to be like cutting edge technology, I've been told, and it is a Nottingham based artist, that one as well.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's
yeah,
amazing.
so I'm really looking forward to that
I love
one.
things like this because when you actually try and describe it, it is not going to do anywhere near as much justice as actually seeing it and go, wow. Yeah, like you say, so it's brilliant because obviously it's Nottingham artists are involved, but it brings people to get involved from all over the world as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a mix of local artists, but also artists from across the UK and across the world as well. And I think it's fantastic that people in Nottingham have that access to art right on their doorstep, and it's all for free as well.
Now, your role is you are executive member of Carbon Reduction Leisure and Culture. So obviously a lot of lights over the course of a few days. Carbon footprint comes. I'm a dad, so my role now is to go around turning lights off. I mean, how much is it going to use? What's the environmental impact of something like this? I don't want to put a dampener on it, but you have to ask the question.
No, well, I think with sustainability, there's always more that we can do, and I'm really keen just to look at that space in general. Now, I've got both events and climate in my portfolio, but we have banned diesel generators, and everything is going to be powered from our green energy tariff as well. So they're kind of like the main kind of core principles that we're using across, because obviously you've got lots of different artists, you can't control what materials they're using, but that's something that we as the council can do. And of course we're also always encouraging people to use public transport to come to events. Obviously that reduces air pollution and congestion as well, and people can drink and make the most of the city as well that way.
Because that's the thing, is that you want to come in, and certainly now when we've got the carbon reduction target as well coming up, you want to come in, you want to be able to enjoy these things, but you've got to be mindful of that at the same time, haven't you? You can't. It's not as carefree as it once was, and rightly so.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I could be wrong, but some of the installations themselves are looking at sort of environmentalism and how we interact, as in how humanity interacts with their environment. And for me, that is like the power of culture and these cultural partnerships. You can influence people in a much deeper way than just looking at the sort of technology side itself.
Yeah, absolutely, and just telling. I mean, how long does something like this take to? When did you start getting involved with preparing it for the end of February?
I think it's like almost a year.
Wow.
in the running. Yeah, I know certainly a few months ago I had people approach me and say, "Oh, can we do something for Light Night?" And the answer is like, no, it's a really, really long lead-in time, so it does take a lot of organisation. Yeah,
Okay.
Team are fantastic. They always do a brilliant job.
Well, it's 17th year, isn't it? And so and it just gets better and better. It's incredible. Just remind us when it is, and
Yes,
we just turn up, don't we? I guess.
Yeah, it's coming up. So it's Friday the 28th of February and Saturday the 1st of March. So yeah, it's just those 2 nights, and we are expecting 50,000 people to come over that time. So yeah, not one to be missed. And 75% of the attendees last year were from Nottingham as well, which is really nice. So it just shows how much it means to the city, I think.
And how just to get involved with things on our doorstep. It's brilliant. Thanks, Sam. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on to sports now, and we'll start with Mansfield Town, because it was a busy day of incomings at Field Mill yesterday. It was transfer deadline day, of course, and the signing of experienced forward Jordan Rhodes was one that took the headlines. He scored loads of goals in the past, clubs like Huddersfield and Blackburn. He played in the Premier League with Middlesbrough as well, and he joins the Stags on loan from Blackpool. He got 15 league goals there last season, but he's not played much this year. He said he's excited to get back doing his job on the pitch.
Footballers go in every day, they train every day. Their purpose for life is to be there and available for a match day, or to be in the squad and available for selection on a match day. And minutes were tough to come by, so I'm hoping to come here to be hopefully part of something pretty special. And helping contribute whichever way that means possible. There's been 2 or 3 months now where I've not particularly enjoyed going into work, and those match day situations are what you live for as a footballer. So I'm hoping to come into an environment where I get back to enjoying my football again. And I can't think of a better way to come do it than here.
Now, Jordan Rhodes wasn't the only incoming at the One Call Stadium yesterday. Stags signed attacker Caelan Vickers on loan from Brighton until the end of the season as well. 20-year-old who can play across the entire attacking line, has got scored 5 times in the Premier League 2 this season for the Seagulls under-21s. He's also played 24 times at Reading last season as well. And he praised the pull of manager Nigel Clough and said he wants to help the team pick up form in League One.
It's a great club. Everything that's gone on here the last few years, and just want to help the team win and do my best I can here. Him and his whole experience of everything he's done in football it's a massive factor why I wanted to come here. Like being able to learn off him and get coached by him will be a really good experience, hopefully. I think I can bring a lot to the pitch. I hope I can as well. I'm quite an attacking-minded player, quite creative, skillful, and hope to get some goals and assists, and also entertain fans on the way.
Notts County made a sign-in as well yesterday on transfer deadline day. Ghanaian May Traore joined Meadow Lane from Norwegian club Fredrikstad. The 25-year-old signed a 2.5-year deal with the Magpies. He's got more than 60 appearances to his name in Norway's top flight. His breakthrough campaign was in Sweden back in 2020, you may remember it. He helped to fire Swedish club Vasalunds to promotion with 23 goals and 8 assists in 29 games. His signing was subject to international approval and to visa clearance as well. Over the Trent, Forest made a deadline day signing with 20-year-old Reading defender Tyler Bindon joining the club. He was loaned straight back to the Royals though. The New Zealand international signed on at City Ground on a 4-year deal. He'll continue to play for Reading until the end of the season, supporting their promotion push in League One. He's been tracked by Forest, and the club say his development will be closely monitored over the next few months. Also outgoings as well at City Ground. Midfielder Lewis O'Brien, loaned out to Championship side Swansea until the end of the season, was one of them. The 26-year-old joined Forest in the summer after their promotion to the Premier League, but hasn't managed to break into the first team since then. He'd been loaned out to MLS side LAFC, but returned to England in December, and now he goes to South Wales until the summer. Also, James Ward-Prowse as well ended his time at City Ground and returned to West Ham United. Forest women head coach Carly Davies says she's happy with the way her team are playing after they returned to the top of the National League at the weekend. Millie Chandarana and Charlie Welling scored the goals for the Reds as they saw off Halifax on the road, and they continue their unbeaten campaign in the league. Here's head coach Davies on what the win means for their season.
What we wanted from the girls today was to show a little bit of flair in the final third and create more chances than we have done in previous weeks. I thought we did that in the first half. We've had 2 very good team goals and really well taken goals from Millie and Charlie, and probably could have had and should have had 2 more. And then the second half, again, we've created a lot of chances that we just haven't managed to convert. But the positive that we take from today is that we've created a lot more chances than we have in recent weeks. And once we start converting them, that's going to be a good place for us to be.
Right, let's have a look at your picture of the day. It's a lovely one as well because it's snowdrop season at Wilford Village. Hurrah! Thanks to Rachel Hopp for this. It means spring's on its way, doesn't it? I think that's what that means. Right, back to reality then. We've seen some light showers today. That should clear for tonight though, dropping to 2 degrees overnight. Tomorrow when you wake up, a sunny start. Some cloud may come late afternoon. Highs of just 8, dropping to -1 into Thursday. Once again though, Thursday be a little bit nippy, highs of 7, but lots of sunshine. Right, still to come, we're going to explore a new NTU project that helps young people navigate the challenges and pressures of adolescence, and boy, aren't there a few of those. It's up next. Hello there, welcome back. It's Notts Today and I'm Al Booth. Thanks for being here. Let's have a look at more of your headlines now. And thousands of people in Rushcliffe have signed a petition against the idea of Rushcliffe being moved into Nottingham city boundary. Parts of the borough include West Bridgford that could be swallowed up into Nottingham, all part of government reforms into the structure of local councils. The existing 2-tier system is likely to be scrapped. Boundaries could also be redrawn so local authority areas have a minimum population size of 500,000 people. More than 5,000 people in Rushcliffe have signed a petition saying they don't want that to happen. We shall see. And the proposed closure of Nottingham Station's footbridge that we talked about yesterday has been postponed by train company EMR after a backlash. The Bridge, which allows passengers to change platforms and access Station Street and Queen's Road, was due to shut again on February the 22nd, and that would follow a pilot by the railway company in October and November, which found fare dodges were costing EMR more than £1 million. Following concerns about the closure, EMR said it's postponing the decision so it can further engage with the people affected. Right, it is Tuesday night. There's loads going on in the city and around the county, so shall we find what's going on then? First, if you are feeling curious, the Curious Cabaret is on in Beeston. It's an evening of magic and comedy and illusions that will leave you on the edge of your seat in laughter or suspense, or both. It starts at 8 p.m, tickets are still available for that one. Or if you're a bit of a Sherlock, You Sleuth's augmented reality experience will take you across knots, finding clues and victims along the way, not real ones. You don't need a magnifying glass, but you do need a phone, and then head to Market Square for 7 p.m. Tickets, £16 for that. Finally, at Brewdog in Hockley, it's weekly Punk John's pub quiz. You can win free food, drinks, or a cash jackpot prize as well. So if you want some trivia on draft, it starts at 7 p.m. Tickets, just £2 for that one. Bargain. Now, it is probably harder than ever to be a young person growing up. You've got the pressures of social media and influences, as well as climate change as well. All pressures like never before. Now, a new Nottingham Trent University programme is looking to help adolescents aged 11 to 14 in finding solutions to the problems they face. It's doing it through the NTU Shield app, which was created by the university's trained psychology students and offers in-person and virtual coaching to boost the children's confidence. Joining me now to tell us more is NTU Shield's director, Professor David Daly. Hello, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Let's first of all, let's talk about the pressures that adolescents are facing in 2025.
They're facing a lot of pressures, and I think if I look back to when I was an adolescent, which obviously your viewers will know is not yesterday, that they're facing a lot more pressures. There are a lot of demands on our young people, and I know that a lot of young people struggle to make sense of why they have to meet all of those demands. Why do they have to get up really early in the morning, put on a uniform, go to school, do all of these lessons? Why do they have to do all of these things? And it's what I call the what's in it for me factor. So most of our young people do all of those things, and they do them because they have to, and they do them because their parents want them to, but they don't really know what's in it for them. And they find it difficult to justify. And over time, some of them really struggle to find the value in engaging in everything that's on offer at their secondary school. And there's usually lots on offer at their secondary school, but we want young people to find their own value, to find the things that they really like and enjoy, so that they can meet their true potential.
Okay. So that's really, really interesting. Like you say, when you think back to, same here, when, you know, in the late 80s, 90s, different world and much easier world comparatively. So how does this work then?
So we are an after-school service. So we work in the afternoons, and we're particularly targeting 11 to 14-year-old adolescents in Nottingham and Nottinghamshire who are just not feeling it at school. They just don't find the meaning or the value in it. And what we can offer them with their parents' consent is 7 sessions of psychological coaching. And that coaching is all based around our evidence-based Shield app, which we've developed. But the offer is to work with a learning coach who is a Nottingham Trent University psychology undergraduate student, and to work with a learning coach for 7 sessions, either in person, they can come to our Shield service on the city campus at NTU, or we can do it online via Teams if you live in Nottinghamshire, and to engage in a series of coaching sessions to help that young person find relevance and meaning in their education. So psychological coaching is not about telling the young person what they need to do. I think they get enough of that at school already. It's about coaching the young person to find their own solutions, because the reasons why young people are not engaging well in school and valuing all the opportunities are varied and really complicated. And it's quite bespoke to each individual. So the solution, we can't just tell them what to do. We need to help them work out what it is that they need to do and help them to find their own solutions.
So it's empowering them, isn't it?
It's empowering them. It's also about listening to them. It's also about helping them to realise that actually they are in control. A lot of the time at school, young people don't feel in control because there are so many rules to follow, so many sanctions, and so it really feels as if somebody else is in control. And or for better or for worse, our secondary school system has become very sanction orientated. If your tie is out of place, you get a sanction point, and if you're a minute late for lesson, you get a sanction point. And that really kind of grinds young people down over time. And we're trying to do exactly that with NTU Shield. We're trying to empower them. We're trying to help them work out that they are in control. They can find solutions to better engage in the opportunities in their education. And our mission is to work with them in a collaborative way to do just that.
It's a brilliant thing, I think. I'm just thinking of my 12-year-old niece and how amazing that would be for her. So how can people get the app? Is the app up and running at the moment?
So you can't access the app on its own. You use the app in collaboration with a learning coach. So if you're an 11 to 14-year-old watching this thinking, yeah, I could probably do with a bit of that, or perhaps more likely if you're the parent and you're thinking, yes, my son or daughter could really do with that, then we are now open and running. We're open for referrals, and you can make a referral either by just Googling NTU Shield, or you can just email us at shield@ntu.ac.uk.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. Such a brilliant thing. Thank you. Now, something we've been talking about on the show today, 2 Nottingham homes dedicated to supporting people with mental health issues may close because of a decision by the City Council. Hewenden Lodge and the Crescent are run by charity Framework. They offer a place for people to live and provide caseworkers for those who've hit rock bottom. But at the end of last year, Framework was told of the council's intention to shut the facilities as part of cost-cutting measures. Jordan Guerrero has been along there.
This is just one of 2 care homes at risk of having to send residents elsewhere for support if their current City Council funding gets revoked. Hewenden Lodge is currently the lifeline for 9 vulnerable Notts residents and 10 who live in the wider community too. The lodge provides counselling, mentoring and simply a set of ears willing to listen to how they're feeling at any given moment. It's run by Framework and primarily supports people who've struggled with their mental health. That includes Damien Bauer, who's called this place home for more than a year after he turned to alcohol as a way of coping with bullying. The dark turn led him to losing everyone he cared about and losing himself too. Since being here, he's come on leaps and bounds, but is now petrified the scary possibility of having to move out will undo his progress.
And I took to drink as a way to numb the evenings, but it escalated into a place I never thought. A place where you find yourself drinking vodka at 6 o'clock in the morning, standing outside a shop shaking, not being able to stand up. It's geared to getting me to where I want to be in life, and then to have it just whipped away without knowing anything about the future, the prospects. Will I have support? Does this lead to me going down somewhere where I've not got people around me and I can go, help me, before I do something silly, and then back in hospital again?
The Lodge, which is in Mapley, and the Crescent in Radford, are the 2 facilities at risk of closure by the City Council. They've been delivered by Framework but are solely funded by the authority, which announced at the end of last year it will be withdrawing funds to save cash. Hewenden service manager Sue Waterston, who's been in the role for 8 years, feels that shutting them down will actually end up being more expensive in the long term.
Since the funding has gone, it is now going to be a question of what takes priority. When this place closes, either people will be passed back to the hospitals again, where there are no beds, and I have no idea how they're going to manage that, or elsewhere. And so therefore it's passing the buck, as it were. Within a year, I could almost foretell that they'll be saying, oh dear, this was a mistake.
I've suddenly gone from feeling I had a bit of worth and was going back into the world, and you know, it's hard losing your confidence, losing everything in life, in a place where you never thought you'd be. The possibility of being split up and moved up to various places in the city is one concern.
Residents and carers here remain unsure what their fate will be, but are urging for more conversations with the council to find solutions. Jordan Guerrero for Notts TV.
We did approach the City Council for comments about that story, but they hadn't got back to us by the time we came on air. Right, let's take some more of your news headlines now. And a Notts council is urging residents to report fly tipping after securing a conviction against a road gardener. Gedling Borough Council received reports of fly tipping at a spot in Ravenshead and managed to trace it with household rubbish, tyres and furniture to Richard Morey from Mansfield Woodhouse. His business R&A Gardening Services had been paid to be a licensed waste carrier. He admitted to offences in Nottingham Magistrates Court last week and was told to pay more than £700. And a prolific offender has been banned from entering large parts of Nottingham city centre for 3 years. 36-year-old Jonathan Chatton, who's formerly of Bingham Road in Carrington, is only allowed to visit the Central Jobs Centre, the Probation Office, Emmanuel House, the City Wellbeing Hub and the Glasshouse Chemists after frequently being arrested for offences such as robbery. The order was granted against him by Nottingham Magistrates Court on Friday after police said they'd exhausted all other options available. Right, coming up, we're going to meet a Notts band who are excited to be releasing some new music, and they're actually married to each other as well. What? Hello, welcome back to Tuesday's Notts Today with me, Al Booth. Here's what's coming up in Notts Today. First, community groups and companies have been asked to leave a Nottingham business centre because of fire safety risks. Organisations in the Howitt building on Lenton Boulevard, which is also a former rally office building and houses the Marcus Garvey Day Centre, had been assessed for fire safety risks. The council said it's taken a difficult but necessary decision to close the building. Survey work is taking place to find out what needs to be done, meaning businesses can't be accommodated until the authority has worked out the next steps. There you go. Nottingham will be getting a new 6-course tasting restaurant after plans were approved by the City Council. Six by Nico, which has 11 sites across the UK, offers a tasting menu with themes that change every 6 weeks. It will replace the former fish and chip restaurant George's Great British Kitchen, which closed down on Queen Street in September last year. City Council planners approved an application last week to convert the building, and it will go through some alterations to facilitate the popular tasting restaurant. Starter, main course, pudding, cheese, 2 others. Now, this week marked the beginning of an 18-month trial by Nottingham City Council to see if a new location for taxis at Nottingham train station could be a permanent option. It saw a new taxi rank created on Carrington Street, just outside the main entrance of the station, and reducing the space on nearby Trent Street. Cabbies and a disability charity, though, have voiced some concerns about the move, as Kira Byrne reports.
Could this new taxi rank outside Nottingham Station be hailing a new future for the city's cabbies? Nottingham City Council launched the new rank this week, introducing space on Carrington Street for 8 wheelchair accessible taxis. That's where a new pick-up and drop-off point could improve accessibility for passengers accessing trains at the city's railway station. It's part of an 18-month trial by the council and comes following feedback from wheelchair users and parents with children. But what of taxi drivers themselves? The move has led to mixed reviews, as well as some concerns for the future of their business.
It's a little bit better, but it's still a safety hassle for the customer, because the customer have to come from the station main entrance, then they have to go across the road, then to obviously get access to the taxi. So it's a safety hazard for the customer.
The decision also means changes for the existing Trent Street bays, including shortening the amount of space for taxis to drop off and pick up. So there will be competition for spaces among cabbies at both locations. And with EMR's second closure of the railway station footbridge on the horizon, taxi drivers say footfall on Trent Street is on the decline.
Well, my main concern is they're going to close down the Putty Bridge, which is we find out from the media. Next to the council, they given us 16 spaces on the to having a new rank on the Carrington Street, but still we are losing out 18 spaces. So council should supposed to sort their mathematics out.
Yet the council proposed there was good reasoning for the change in location.
Agat Khan said following feedback from disabled residents and residents with young people, they are trialling a new taxi rank on Carrington Street to improve accessibility.
But how do residents with additional accessibility needs feel about the change?
So I think it's a half attempt at being more accessible. The distance is definitely shorter, and if you don't have any vision problems, you can see the taxi straight away. However, the signage isn't changed at all. There's no drop curbs, and as you can see, this is a really busy road. So if you were attempting to get straight across it, it would be quite dangerous for most people.
The effectiveness of the location change will be reviewed in 18 months' time, though the council is encouraging people to give their say across the first 6 months. It's through this consultation that the authority wants to hear whether the new taxi rank fares well. Kira Byrne for Notts TV.
Now, there have been some famous married musicians down the years. Sonny and Cher, Fleetwood Mac in various forms, Peter Andre and Katie Price when they did A Whole New World, of course. And now we have Lady Rose, an award-winning music duo and married couple who've been performing across the country for more than a decade. As well as weddings, they've played some of the country's most iconic venues. They've played the London Palladium. You don't get much bigger than that. This month, they've just released their first ever music video, which was filmed right here in Notts. The song is called Senorita, and it's been gaining popularity on their YouTube page. They've had more than 1,000 views so far, and we'll hear from Joanna and James Mathers in a moment. First, though, let's take a listen to their latest track.
She said she wants a lover, someone to fuel her nights, but don't be fooled and trust her. There's fire in the senorita's eyes.
Nice. And Joanna and James are here now. Thank you for coming in. First question first, though. What came first, the band or the relationship?
We sort of met through music, didn't we?
Yeah.
Over 10 years ago now. Realised we liked a lot of the same kind of music, like old soul music. Sam Cooke is one of our favourites. And then it just sort of developed from there, and then we ended up becoming a couple, and we got married 8 years ago.
Oh, right. That's amazing. What's your favourite Sam Cooke track, by the way?
Will Have You Send Me? That's
Yes. Okay, that's where it's at. I love that.
Yeah.
I
think the first one we did was Bring It On Home to Me, wasn't it? Which is available on our Spotify, by the way. Might as well just plug that one in straight away.
Okay, absolutely.
Yeah,
Go
we
for
did a
it.
live version of it, so Bring It On Home to Me is...
I'll have to listen to that on the way home tonight then.
Thank you very much.
So yeah, so you do covers, but obviously you do your own music. So how does the writing come about? Who does what?
It's been a bit mix of both, really, because you've written quite a few, but I've written a few as well, but we've not really released that many, so we've just sort of starting to release some of our own material, but...
And this one was written by James.
Many years ago, and we finally got round to recording
really?
it. Yeah.
It's been on the back burner. Have you performed this then in your gigs?
Yeah, it all came about getting recorded, because when we was on tour with Alfie Boe and the Postmodern Jukebox, we played this song to the audience, and they absolutely loved it, and they were coming up to us and saying, like, where did you get that song
Asking
from?
if they could download it and listen to it, and
Right.
we obviously
Yeah.
didn't have it available anywhere, so it kind of then prompted us to get it recorded properly and get it out there. So we worked with Dave Stanley, he's a local producer. He used to own the Ruffle Studios, which is unfortunately no longer there. But yeah, we worked with him, got the track out.
I'm just going to go back to something which you very casually just dropped in there, like when we were supporting Alfie Boe, because Alfie Boe is huge, and obviously you get to support. I mean, how did that come about?
So we went on tour with the Postmodern Jukebox initially. So in 2022, I sang at Rock City with them as a guest vocalist. They're absolutely incredible. If people haven't heard of them, they kind of take popular songs, turn it 1920s style, and they're just incredible. So sort of off the back of that, they asked us to support them last year. So we went, like you say, to the London Palladium, Manchester Opera House. We went up to Newcastle, down to Bournemouth. We sort of travelled the whole country. And then off the back of that, we were asked to support Alfie Boe at a few of his dates as well. So It was a crazy year last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, busy.
I mean, how do you? So where do you? So say you gig weddings and stuff, but where do you tend to play? Is it around Nottingham or do you travel?
All over the place. It's hard to say exact.
We did a wedding in France a few years ago, and we sort of go all over the place. Lots of Derbyshire weddings.
When you're, yeah, it can't all be good, can it?
And Nottingham, loads of Nottingham.
So when you're getting ready to go on the London Palladium, I mean, how do you prepare for that sort of gig?
No different to any other, to be perfectly honest with you. Yeah, no,
It was amazing. It was so good because it's such an iconic venue, and to stand on that stage where so many other people have stood and performed, it was really special, wasn't it? It was so good.
It was kind of cool afterwards, like once you've done it.
Yeah.
But at the time, you're kind of just sort of thinking, right, what's that called?
I just need to not mess up this
yeah,
song.
What's that called? What's that song?
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like any other gig, kind of in that respect. But yeah,
then afterwards,
it was cool. Yeah,
we did that. Let's talk about the video then. So it's the first video, and you shot it around here, true to your roots.
Yeah, at the Boat Club. So another iconic venue. The list of artists that have performed there over the years is incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lots of a few favourites like Thin Lizzy, Led Zeppelin. The list goes on. But yeah, so we thought we wanted to record it somewhere iconic, as it was prompted by us performing at all these amazing venues. So we got a group together, we got some belly dancers and some friends. And
I think I saw Janet in there, who I know.
Yeah.
Janet Rose, who's amazing, such a great person.
She is
Needs to get her on
incredible.
the show.
So she got some of her belly dancer friends along. So yeah, we worked with Camera Mike Action, aka Rhythmical Mike. He's like a spoken word artist, a local guy. So
he filmed it.
Yeah, he came down and filmed it for us. So it was a lot of fun. It was good fun.
So over the course of the 10 years, it sounds like the last 2 have just been a bit crazy now. You're doing all this touring with, support acts, now you're doing videos. I mean, what's the future looking like for you two?
Oh, I don't know, just kind of take things as it comes.
It's sort of to see what happens. But yeah, a lot has come off the back of sort of going on the tours with Alfie Bow and things like that, because we've got like, how many now is it, that 50,000 followers?
Yeah, we've got quite a few.
Yeah, on Facebook and things, so we get quite a few people messaging us. It's mainly about like weddings and corporate events and things like that, so that sort of thing is in the pipeline, hopefully.
Amazing. Well, remind us of your Spotify and your YouTube so we can go and watch the video and listen to the...
Yeah, if you just search Lady Rose Nottingham, you can find everything. We've got music on Spotify. We've got an old EP from many years ago.
Good Journey as well. That's a good one to check out.
And a few covers available on there.
I think we will probably record some more original stuff, because this was kind of like a bit of a feeler just to see the popularity. But it's starting to take off on the different platforms.
Channels.
Yeah. So.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, we'll get you in performing in here one day.
Yeah,
We'll do
love that.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
Brilliant, thank you. Right, we've got a picture of the day. It's snowdrop season at Wilford Village. That means spring is on the way. Tell the weather though. It's been raining today, hasn't it? It's going to be sunny tomorrow, highs of 8, -1 into Thursday. Speaking of tomorrow, Mark Dennison will be with you, and then after him, Team Talk tomorrow night, and I'll see you soon. Thank you, bye-bye.